First of all, they're made exactly the same except for one extra process that Tennessee whiskey goes through, and that's the charcoal mellowing. So as they take the mash bill of corn, rye, and barley, which is the same thing as bourbon, they distill it. Jack Daniels does one thing before it goes in the barrel, and they charcoal mellow it. They take the whiskey and they drip it through 10 feet of compacted sugar maple charcoal. And once that whiskey touches that charcoal, it becomes Tennessee whiskey. It's no longer bourbon. That was recognized by an act of Congress in March of 1941 as a different style of whiskey. That's a relationship that goes back to one of our original salesmen for Jack Daniels, a gentleman named Angelo Lucchese. He was hired in 1953 by the Motlow family. He was the first one to ever sell Jack Daniels outside the family, and over the course of his career, he became friends with Mr. Sinatra, because Mr. Sinatra drank Jack Daniels and Jack Daniels alone. And because of that relationship, Angelo had to procure some Jack Daniels for Mr. Sinatra on a number of occasions, and because of Angelo's efforts, they became lifelong friends. And Mr. Sinatra would do anything he could to help his friend Angelo, who he called the Kid, sell his whiskey. So he was always trying to popularize it. The unique thing about the relationship with Mr. Sinatra and the Jack Daniels distillery, we never asked Mr. Sinatra to do anything. He did it because of his friend Angelo. The color is never really indicative of the taste. Sometimes you'll have a dark whiskey, and sometimes that indicates a lot more age, and you expect a whole lot of flavors, and sometimes when you taste something that's dark, it gives you something opposite. You'd expect it to be very flavorful, and sometimes it comes across spicy, and then lighter whiskey will have a different flavor profile. Almost like if it's too light, it just hasn't been aged. And I'm talking Kentucky bourbon and Tennessee whiskey. It has to have that beautiful dark amber color that we have to know that it's fully matured, unlike other whiskeys, which are very good in their own right, but they don't need that dark color, like Irish and Scotch whiskeys. They have the same range of flavors, complexity, but not the same type of flavors. So color doesn't always indicate taste profile, or age. So it can be misleading. It doesn't matter what type of glass you use when you drink. Depends who you ask. Some people, it's never in a glass long enough. Some people, the purists, will say you need to have a brandy snifter to get all the flavors out of it. Some people say, is that with or without ice? It all comes down to personal preference and how you enjoy it. We don't like telling people how to drink it. We just like to offer suggestions. But it does if you're the type of person it matters for. If it doesn't, then you're going to enjoy your whiskey no matter what it comes in. If I want to be a little contemplative, I'll sit back and I'll sip either Woodford Reserve or Jack Daniel's Single Barrel. If I just want to be a little mellow, I'll go Gentleman Jack on the Rocks. And if I want to pace myself or go for a few, I'll do Jack and Coke. But again, it all depends on the mood I'm in.